Okay, so, you know, in the last updates we was expecting the move down, and like I mentioned, we was waiting for that, and I gotta admit, like, I don't feel comfortable with being out of the market. I just don't like it. So placed a very 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 tiny position just to manage that emotion almost, because I wasn't too sure. I mean, we had this move up yesterday, and look what's happened. It moved up. So I'm looking at this chart just here on the right hand side, and we had this move up pretty much to the point where the left shoulder was, and thinking along the lines of a head and shoulders pattern. I mean, this is it. This is a great pattern, and we had that move down. But when this doesn't exist, I mean, when we rewind that and just see something like this, it's a little bit sketchy. In fact, in saying something like that, it looks a bit sketchy. But there's a couple of ways that I mitigate that. So I'll do an opposite fib, and then as you can see, 50.5, pretty much the opposite of this scaling zone. So when we have this scaling zone set about here to the downside, you can appreciate that's significant. Oh, damn. So the point is that this is what I was waiting for, but it just, I'm always very early to the party, and suffer unnecessarily. So we'll just pop that all back on. Just a quick note about this fib setup as well. So I'm measuring from A to B, and then it's retraced up to C, which is where that head and shoulders pattern plays out. Now look at where the targets are. Okay, so this target exactly on the 23.6. We've got this third drive which we're looking for. This is what I've been holding out for, and that's a great entry point. So prices come down, bounced underneath the boundary there, and then moved lower, and we're pretty much sitting on this low tide, and I expect that to have some support there. But that third drive hasn't been touched, and I would really like to see that touched at least once. If it's not going to be touched, I'm going to be left with egg on my face, but it's one of them, because that's pretty much just above that is where my limit is. So if we notice as well, this third drive is pretty much sitting on the top of the level of this next scaling zone. So in the previous videos, just turn that down a bit. So in the this scaling zone is the, I can't remember where I pinned it from, but basically, this large run here, it's the Fibonacci level for that. I think it's around here. So yeah, so this scaling zone is pretty much this long run on a high time frame, and we might be seeing that. So with that being said, oh, by the way, this setup, we haven't touched the lower boundary yet. Okay, and when we look at the start of this run, okay, we had a touch just there. Okay, it's only a tiny one, but it touched nevertheless. 1, 2, 3 divergences print, 1, 2, 3, and then we're off to the races. And we haven't touched that Overwatch boundary yet, so that's pretty much why I'm not convinced. I'm waiting for that boundary touch, and then maybe we can see some divergences. I'm not too sure, but we'll see. So when we look at this 4 hour, I know we're going backwards on the analysis a bit here. Look at this boundary. Okay, the candlestick closures on that boundary line, and you can see it's popped underneath here. You can see on the left hand chart we've had a few candles below it, which we'll move on to in a moment. but we're on that boundary, man. Sorry, low tide. So we're on that low tide. Let me just turn the settings on here. Cool. So you can see it's sitting on the lower tide, and look at this you know, almost support zone resistance. It's just sitting on it. 1, 2. So spinning top and then almost like a hammer. But one more. Come on, one more. So this would push down onto the red level. Might close, and if we close back above that, that's perfect. Okay, so we'll come down, hit into this red level, hit into the scaling zone at some point, and then if we immediately move back up above the low tide level on the 4 hour and we leave a wick, well, that's just beautiful. Yeah, it's got to do that. It's got to come down and touch that, or else I'm looking at around here. It's got to. So when we move to the left hand side and we're looking at the lower time frame on the ripple, well, then we can see the more detail. Now look at what's happened on the Overwatch down at the bottom. We've had this penetration, divergence. I mean, last time it went down into there was all the way down here. Okay, so we've gone in, printed a divergence. Yeah, we've moved up, but then look, we've moved down again, dipped in, moved down again. So 3 divergences. So maybe we'll see that happen. Okay, so short one there, and hopefully we'll pick it back up. Started trading the futures yesterday on the CME with the algos. Very cool. A little bit awkward, you know, the data's not coming through as we would like, but still some management there. Okay, so to summarize, we're looking for a move down into this area, and ideally a very sharp move out of it, but we'll see. You know, we've still got this Overwatch, which is something I'm paying attention to, is this Overwatch. You know, we're in fact, I mean, basic little divergence there, haven't even come into this upper boundary yet. So as you can see, the last time it was in this boundary on the 4 hour, just zoom back out, was here, and that was quite a strong move. Remember, we was kind of doing its thing, and then strong moves moving right up to the top here. Moved down, had another move up, and then yeah, that's it. That's it. Bye bye. Okay, cool. So that's it. Gonna be logging off. See ya.